Hello everyone! In the last episode, we were stumbling upon some problems with our code. Whenever we found a solution, another issue appeared. And I was going back and forth trying to find the perfect solution for the movement, and I decided to go to Chat GPT and share the problems that I was having. And it suggested me to make a movement code based in a grid alignment. And I send the code for the movement and it spit out a solution. And let's take a look at the solution that ChatGPT made. If we go here, this is the code that ChatGPT proposed. And it's basically the same thing, but instead of using the coordinates of the collision box, it attaches the character to a grid. And we'll try to figure out what this code does. It even added some comments, so it will be easier to understand. First, it determines a temporary variable with a 16 block size, which is our pixel grid size. Each block has 16 pixels. Then it will align to the grid when near the center of a tile. It sets a variable, y offset, and it uses this calculation, y mod tile size. Tile size is 16. So I put in the draw event here, text that will draw x mod 16, and let's see how it works, how it behaves. Here we can see the number, and you can see that every time it counts to 0 and resets. The way it works is it will count from 0 to 16, which is here, the start of the block. It's 16 blocks, right? And when it reaches 16, it goes back to 0. So it will count again to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it gets to 16, and then counts back to 0. This way we can have a precise calculation of the position related to the grid. And what it does is, if y offset is not 0, it will then snap to the grid. If it's smaller than 4, let's see here, if it's smaller than 4, if it's like 3, if I move down here, it snaps back to 0. And the way it does this is with this calculation. This is basically y equals y minus, wait, I put u. Y equals y minus 16, which is the y offset. No, wait. It's y minus y offset. So instead of doing this long calculation, y equals y minus something, it just minus equal. So it doesn't need to repeat the y all the time. It's just a simplified way of writing this. And it's the same thing for if it's bigger than 12. Let's go here, 12. If it's bigger than 12, let's say 14. If we press down here, it will snap to 0. But notice here that this is the 0, and it's snapping on this line. And we don't want it to snap to this line. We want to snap to the center between the two lines. Can you see how it's snapping to the center of the box? It's snapping to the center, and we want to be offset. So let's ask ChatGPT two things. First, can you make a code to make the grid visible? It made a code to make the lines visible. So I took this code and put it on our draw event. I just changed the color to yellow. And if we run the code now, we can see the grid. And we can see now the movement, how it's snapping, right? I'm here, and then if I'm close enough, it snaps back to the grid. Do you see it? So this seems to be a good solution. We just need to make the grid more offset so it will snap correctly. And also notice here that the grid's slightly misaligned by 1 pixel. I think we should make this grid a single pixel closer to this corner here. To fix that, I decreased 1 of the tile size here. And before moving on, let me try to explain what this chunk of code does. This draws the vertical line, see? And this is a for loop. The way it works is that it will define a variable I that will start on 0. And every time I is smaller or equal than the number of columns, it will do this code. And then after doing this code, it will add 1 to I. This I++ is an abbreviation. This is the same as I equals I plus 1. This is the same thing as this. So instead of doing this bigger thing, you can just do I++. It will add 1. So it will draw a line, add 1, draw a line, add 1, until it reaches the number of columns. And when it's done, it stops this loop and goes to the next one. And the next one will do the same thing, but draw the horizontal lines. And if we run the game now, with the -1 here, the grid is perfectly aligned. Now we have what we want. And next step is to make this grid be misaligned by an offset. Let's ask Chat GPT, can you make the grid set by 8 pixels? Okay, maybe it didn't understand the first time. I add the code here and say the grid is perfect now, but we need to offset it a little. Let's see what it gives. Oh, it added an offset here. It's perfect. This is what we want. Let's get it. And see what it added. It added an offset of 8. You can adjust this to change the grid offset. And it's added that to the code here. Here's the offset. And let's see how it works now. Perfect, right? We have the grid where we want it to be. But this is just visually. The code of the movement is still being aligned without the offset. So let's ask, now we need to apply this offset to the movement code. And let's get our movement code here and send it. Perfect. It added the offset here. Let's go back. AI is doing the hard work for us. Let's go here. We have our code. And let's see how it works. Perfect. Now we have our movement and it's perfectly snapping to the grid. When we are on this corner, it snaps, and we are here. Here it's a bit finicky, but it still snaps. We can fix that later by adding the values. But yeah, it's much better. But it's still getting stuck here, see? Because ChatGPT did a mistake where this part of the movement is being calculated in the same time. And we already know the solution, but let's ask ChatGPT to see what it will do. The code is great, but there is a problem. When we try to move diagonally, the character's collision box gets stuck on the walls by moving diagonally. Let's see what it will bring. Wow, it made a long list of code. Let's see what it does. Actually, it didn't do anything bigger. The thing is, it changed a bit on this part here. This is the old code and this is the new one. It reversed that. See, it was checking if there is a place meeting, then HSP 0. Now it checks if there is no place meeting, it then moves. And it mixed that, like here you're moving both at the same time, and now it took this and incorporated here, and we have this. So here it does, if there is no place meeting with the power wall, it will move X with the HSP first, and then if there is no meeting vertically, it will move vertically. This fixes the diagonal problem where we get stuck. And yeah, we don't get stuck anymore. But there is a problem now. If we press diagonally, the character will be stuck in the lines of the grid. It should do a snake-like pattern like we did before. So let's ask Chat GPT to fix that too. If we move just by pressing the directions, it's much better. But yeah, if we hold diagonally, it will stop. Let's ask him it again. Perfect. But now if we try to move in the diagonal directions, the character will get stuck on the grid. Let's see. Make a solution for us. Here's the updated movement code. Let's see what it did. And the line of code that it changed is this here. It's an XOR. I don't know what this means, but says true if only one of them is non-zero. If HSP is not equal 0 and not VSP is not equal 0. I have no idea what's the logic behind here, but let's check. Oh, wait, we're moving perfectly now. Yeah, ChatGPT is doing a great job for us. But now I see something. The animation, he's not changing the sprite. He's moving diagonally and he's staying like that. How can we fix this? Let's ask him again. But before asking the next question, it even explained the condition. This will only allow the grid snapping if the player is moving in a single direction. And if we look here now, we can see like this, if HSP is not equal 0, if it's a value, if he's moving, and this is and not. I think this is the same, this is the opposite of this. If we do this, if HSP is not 0 and VSP is not 0, it will do the code, right? But this is like and not. Like if there was an and an and not, it will be like not equal. So if there is a value on HSP and not on the VSP, so if this is moving, but this is not moving, then it will make the code snap. And if both of them are moving, which is a diagonal direction, it won't happen. The snapping won't happen. It will only happen if either this or this is true. And actually the manual has the operations for that. There's AND, OR, and XOR. And here's the symbols that you can use to abbreviate it. You can do it. So instead of doing this, I can put XOR or AND. And if I want to do the symbols, I can do this, or this for XOR. This symbols is overcomplicated. I think the best way to understand is not equal. Let's leave it as is. Next question. Now our movement is perfect, but our animation is not changing when we are holding the diagonal direction. The character animation is pointing only one direction and not shifting in the correct movement direction. And here's the animation code, and I pasted all the animation code for it to check. And let's see if this fixes it. Well, the new code is still not working. I'm still pointing down, but if I release down, he changes direction. It seems that the down and up directions have priority. Here I'm pressing left, but if I press up, he changes. And if I press down, he changes too. But If the opposite, if I'm pressing up and I press left here or right, it doesn't change anything. So let's ask. It is still getting stuck. It seems that the up and down directions have more priority than the left and right. What we need is to determine that the horizontal or vertical movement have a bigger priority over the key pressed to determine the movement animation. Like here, I'm moving down, but if I'm moving left, it should overlap the key that I'm pressing, and it should change to left or right, but what's happening is that the down key is overlapping the movement, right? So let's see if it can fix that. And with the new code, it still doesn't fix the problem. We're still having a dominant direction and we're not changing based on movement. So we'll have to go through a few more prompts until it fixes it, or we'll have to find a solution by ourselves. Okay, it seems that Chat GPT has met its match. The code still is broken. Whenever we are moving, the character is not changing directions. And ChatGPT doesn't know how to fix this issue. And the thing is, to see how code is annoying, even the AI gets annoyed when the code doesn't work. You see, I put here, the issue still persists, but the character now points left or right and won't change direction when moving vertically. And then it said, here's the corrected animation code. And then I say the issue still persists, but now it's just moving up and down and not horizontally. They said fully corrected animation code. And then I say the issue is different now. I'm holding in a direction, it's not doing something. And it says final fixed correct animation code. And then the issue still persists. It says final fixed animation code. The AI is mad right now. So we have to jump in. You see how coding is stressful. Even the AI loses its patience. So I'll have to check out what's causing this, and I'll be right back with a solution. Okay, I found the solution now. I have added a draw text here showing the VSP and the HSP. And if we run the game, we can see that if we are pressing diagonally, the VSP and HSP are stable. Like there's 1, 1 and -1, -1. Even though the movement is blocked, the HSP values are still being calculated. And this is happening because ChatGPT changed this line of code. It's coding the movement only if there is no place meeting with the object, but it is not zeroing the horizontal speed if there is a collision happening. So we'll add here else HSP equals 0, because if there is a wall blocking, the HSP should be set to 0. Even though he's snapping to the grid and he's moving, it should be set to 0. So we'll set here to else VSP equals 0. And just by changing this line of code, now in the movement, if I'm colliding with the wall, the HSP will 0 and it will alternate. And you can see now, alternate between the animations properly. And we fixed this. And with this, we finished today's episode. With ChatGPT's help, our game progressed very quickly. What could take weeks to fix was easily fixed in a few minutes. From now on, we'll be using ChatGPT to help with the development, but also I'll try to explain everything that the code does. But the thing is, even if you don't understand something, you can grab that chunk of the code from the project and ask ChatGPT, and it will give you a much better explanation than I. I won't be sharing the project files this time because I have progressed further and there is one more episode ready. So the project files will be available again in the next episode. You can download it and tweak the code as you wish. I plan to release the next episode next Friday, but if you want to see it sooner, leave it in the comments and I'll release it earlier. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.